just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, pop, pop, bang! How you doing, Julian?
I'm kind of all right. I've just jumped on my phone and just looked at an interview Boxing Socials done with Sugar Ray Leonard. And you know Leonard's my hero. He's the
Yeah.
best fight I've ever seen in my lifetime. And he's getting old. I mean, that sounds like such an obvious, stupid statement. He's 67
Yeah.
years old.
Yeah.
But that's the first time I've seen him in 4 or 5 years where he's starting to look
His
um,
age.
his age. And I'm like, oh my God. It's just like, I saw a
All
picture
that
of
beaky stiffs, isn't it?
let's not go there, mate. Let's not
Sorry, well, you have read
disrespect.
his book, haven't you, Julian?
No, I refuse to. Um, Look, there are things we have a laugh and a joke about stuff, but there are things about certain people. We all have blind spots. We just do, and I've got blind spots where Ray Leonard's concerned, mate.
Like me
So
with Brock.
absolutely, listen, we all have our weakness, don't we? You know, someone can jab you about Froch, and you'll react to it. And I think Terry does that quite brilliantly, actually. And people do that with me about Ray Leonard. And I'm just like, don't. And I've just seen him. I'm like, oh, Ray, you're looking old. You're looking old. I mean, I up at 67, I look that good, but yeah, the great Ray. All our heroes are getting old, Russell. They're all getting old, pal.
Yeah, they certainly are. Uh, Tyson Fury's come out and he said Frank Warren shouldn't be doing interviews with Talksport.
Very interesting. I saw a clip of it. And I think Max sent me actually. Max sent me the clip.
Max! Out of
Big
a
Max.
breadcrumb. How are you doing,
Big.
Max?
He's all right. He's Max. We chat pretty much. Every
Should
few
we get
days.
back? Should we get Max back on Porkies?
Max would be great, mate. He's such
Should we
a
slip Max into commission? Should we put him on probation?
Max. Will put you on probation. You can come back, but you better behave yourself, mate. Max is I don't know.
Max at large.
You know what? Max is a curious character. He won't mind me saying this. He
Yeah,
watches
yeah.
all your videos, but
He's a fucking oddball.
Max is a curious character because he comes out with stuff, and you're like, Max, that doesn't make sense, and where's that come from? And then he'll say something else, and it's really insightful and really deep and intellectual, and I'm like, Max is a contradiction, but
Max has had a good upbringing. He's had a good education. He's got degrees coming out his arsehole.
yeah, Max is a
You know what I
bright
mean?
guy.
He can turn his hand to oak, can't he? He's not that guy to but look, Max might not like me saying this, but it's Max isn't about that life, Jules, is he?
No,
Boxing.
Max is it's like myself. I'm not about that life. I'm the son of a coal miner, market trader, but I've got a creative background. I work in business, and it's just I was in boxing for a long time, and I can get along in lots of different circles, but I never went round thinking I was one of these street kids who was being dragged up and tried to wear that like a badge of honor. I had a good upbringing, good Catholic upbringing with two parents who were very much in love and stayed together, and I had a very blessed upbringing, mate. And I'm not one of these people who like fabricates this background and says I'm from the streets and I've done this, because I'm clearly not.
Yeah. But Max is a lovely kid, and my kids love him, and my dogs.
Yeah, I mean, Anna, my girlfriend, she thinks Max is great. She just thinks he's a good lad.
The big, soft, cuddly teddy bear.
He is, and if I rung him up now, says Max, I've had a bit of an issue, a bit of a problem with this, bit of a problem with that. He'd drive down. He'd drive down from London, mate, and he'd come down. I know he would.
He likes to, come about. Obviously, where my work factories and see lads next door and all that, and he likes to see Uzo and that. But Max is a nice kid, isn't he?
But the thing is, with Max, and even like people on social media, they get a bit of a rub and they get a tough feedback. But ultimately, if you met Max, you'd like him. And if you didn't have Max Jenkins of this world, it'd be pretty boring, wouldn't it? Because we wouldn't have someone to to talk about. But the one thing what Max does for all you people who's now going to jump in the inbox and rip him to pieces and say he's the worst boxer of all time is he puts his face behind the camera, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's not one of them that's firing comments hiding behind.
Max has got his own account on Instagram.
He turned up, didn't he, in York to fight that travelling kid. There were 400 there baying for his blood. He turned up on his own, didn't he, with his trainer?
Turned up on his own.
Walking to the ring and they were spitting on him. They were telling him they were going to kill him and smash his head in and lot.
He went to Australia.
He's either crazy or God knows. I don't know, Matt.
Look, he went to Czech Republic for his debut on his own. You don't know what's going to happen over there. You don't know who they're going to match you with and what's going to happen. He had no idea. And he went over and he did it. So, big pair of balls. Not as big as the man in the picture, but he's got a big pair of balls.
Yeah. Oh, the man in the picture. Oh my God! With his free bets hat on, they're dead against gambling, aren't they? Apparently, they knocked millions back for endorsements.
There was you know me. I've got the Furies. I've got a kind of love, not hate. Hate's a strong word. I have a love dislike relationship with them. And so John Fury, for example, with the Jake Paul and the KSI promotions was brilliant, wasn't he? It was just. Certainly, the Jake Paul is WWE on steroids. Brings all this thing alive, but then there are other things.
Very entertaining, isn't he? He's very good.
Massively entertaining. But I saw something last night with John Fury on, and it's something about being emotional was in the clickbait. And the guy who was interviewing him, I can't remember who it was because you know me, I'm not on it like you. The King Media, the Boxing Social, the all these 4 or 5 big platforms, they all blur into one for me. They all ask the same banal, ridiculous questions, and I don't know if they're real boxing people, if I'm being honest, and that's just my opinion. I don't know where they've come from. Maybe they are, maybe they can correct me, and they've had 50 years in gyms. But they all ask the same rubbish questions. But whoever was talking to John Fury last night never asked him about what he was answering. They was asking him about Tyson. And he started jumping in about, I'm a man, I'll turn up to fight anybody. I've got balls like a rhino, and I'll fight Mike Tyson, and I'll stand with my sons until I die. And I'm just thinking, it was just 4 minutes of John Fury telling us that he was a Spartan warrior and he would fight anybody, anytime, anywhere. And I'm thinking, I don't know where that's relevant now. And it was just a curious bit of YouTube that I watched because I thought you've not answered one question or commented on the thread what the guy's asking. You've just started telling everybody how amazing you are. And I'm wondering if it's a bit of an illness, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. Some doctor woman emailed me about it and I just ignored it. And that was like about 4 weeks ago. And I thought, this is somebody on a wind-up, and she was going into all this detailed load of shite. And I mean, I think I left last few paragraphs, and she was going on about how he's like going in, he's narcissistic and all this.
Oh, it's bizarre because what's happened is it's
odd behaviour, isn't it?
There are certain people with disorders who, if they don't get in the public, limelight or get any kind of platform,
has it overwhelmed him? Do you think?
Well, it was when he came out of prison. He was very quiet,
like
and he was always in the background, and he didn't really say too much. And I think what happens is he'll have one moment where he'll lose the plot. I think it was a Fury fight. He lost the plot, and then you get all these people commenting saying this is fantastic. Oh, Big John's hilarious, and people must watch it, and then they encourage him. And it's like having a big uncle, or it's like Albert Trotter with his war stories in Only Fools and Horses. And someone says, oh, were you a sailor? Were you a sailor, Albert? And it's like, oh, right, during the war. And then they go off on this big speech and it'd be like, don't encourage him. Yeah. John Fury, if he knocked on my door and started shouting, I might be a little bit, all right, John. But
what I did be a little bit squeaky bum.
But what I did find interesting, and again, I don't want to rip into John, we're just talking, we're allowed to talk about whatever we want. It's our opinion, and we're not in Saudi. We're not covering the fight, so you can't ban us. We can just chat between ourselves, and you can broadcast it. But there was the moment where, at the Tommy Fury KSI fight, he had the back he had a bit of a banter with the guy, didn't he? One of KSI's backers.
Yeah.
John Fury. What was really cool about that? I can't remember the guy's name. John Fury did what John Fury did, and he went like that, and he started shouting and moving his body. And the guy, one of KSI's buddies, never flinched. He never flinched.
Yeah.
He's just like that, not intimidated one bit. And then John Fury started saying, "Go on then, you hit me first, you hit me first. Isn't that what we used to say at school when you were 6-year-old? And you're going to have a fight. You go, you hit me first then, because I don't want to get in trouble with teacher." And I just thought it was like, it started making me realise.
Like like a pantomime villain when something's happening, it pantomime.
Hold me back, hold me back. And there's like,
he comes from behind curtains, doesn't he? Like growls, doesn't he?
we've all seen this the video of, he's a big lad as well. We're going to get dragged into a back alley one day, but we've all seen the video of Dean White, haven't we? When that football violence
Dean
kicks
White
off.
didn't flinch, did he, Dean White?
No, but Dean White, I'm talking about when there was the football violence.
Oh, no, Dean White ran that night, didn't
Dean
he?
White was like 6'100", and there's this, it kicks off, this crowd trouble kicks off. There's a video of him with his man bag running like that away from this football crowd. And I just thought, these big guys are all right shouting down.
He didn't flinch from Big John, though, did he?
No, he didn't. But the shouting down at, well, maybe they don't flinch because it's WWE and it's all arranged. They might even text each other before this stuff kicks off, I'll say this, you'll say that. We've all seen the new Netflix documentary about wrestling behind the scenes. It's absolutely fantastic. And it's all scripted. And you have to think, don't you, that this is just scripted. This, you hit me first, then I'm like, wow. So I think it's scripted. I used to think it was 50-50 and some of it gets out of hand. And I think it's just scripted. It's where boxing's got now. But whilst you and I don't love it all and cringe at some of it's hilarious. Some of it's just so funny. But most people love it, don't they? And John Fury's massively popular. And I don't know. Whether we love it or not, I do wonder what some of these promotions would be like without John Fury. But the one thing that does make me cringe, or I don't really like, is it's like with Tommy Fury. Yeah, he was brilliant on the build up to the KSI fight, was John Fury. But then it got to like 2 or 3 days before the fight.
You mean with his arsehole hanging out and then banging it and all that?
Do you not think at some point during the build up, then you have to take half a step back and say, this is actually about my son. This is not about me. When it gets to the weigh-in and all that, stop making everything about yourself. I get it, to get everybody warmed up, to get the momentum, to get people in a great mood. But then you get to a stage midweek in fight camp, it's like, all right, you're gonna kill everybody. You'll fight any man. You want to fight Iron Mike, blah, blah, blah. Just ease off now and let the spotlight go on the fighters.
Yeah. It's I thought it were hilarious though earlier. Do you know the old weigh-in where he had?
I haven't seen it. I've not seen the weigh-in.
He had his top off on weigh-in. Him and Tyson with tops off. It were hilarious. But
I don't know why John needs to get his top off. I mean, he's a big old fella, is John Fury, but I don't know. It might, listen, it's probably a cultural thing. You see men who want to fight all the time in the street. The first thing they do is they take the top off, don't they?
I've just sent you it there, Julian. Have a quick look at that.
I've had a few fights in my life, and it happens. We've all had a few scraps, but I tell you what, I've not done is I've not taken my top off.
Just look at that.
It looks like he's had his back shaved there.
Yeah, they've all had them waxed, haven't they? They've got butlers and what. They'll take full advantage of that, won't they? Pop, pop, bang.
Not according to the government website in terms of how you got to behave in Saudi Arabia.
Why? What is it? He's not broke any laws, has he, Big John? What's he been up to?
Are you ready for it? Let's do this. Look,
do tell, Jules. Spill the beans.
Okay. Well, first of all, we've got the dress code, and I'm being tongue in cheek when I talk about this clearly, because we all know that in any kind of where the law's concerned. Al Wiedersehen once called one of the episodes about a law for the rich. We know there's a law for the rich and famous, and then there's a law for everybody else. We know that, but Saudi, who are very, very strict about a lot of things. I went onto the government website and I looked at a few things. So first of all, you got to follow local dress codes.
Yeah.
It can be really offensive if you don't do that. But this is interesting. Rules of behavior. Men and women are required to refrain from public displays of affection. Swearing and making rude gestures are considered offensive acts and violators and can be subject to local laws. Penalties can vary from a fine to imprisonment and or deported. So I'd assume that grabbing your dick and shaking it about through your trousers, that's probably considered offensive and a violation of a local law. So we've got swearing as well. So swearing, right, is a violation of Saudi law. So yeah, these are boxing men, but we've heard a lot of swearing, not just swearing, and carrying on and pushing and shoving, but we've heard a lot of swearing in front of a lot of very influential people and in front of royalty, haven't we? So it's probably as offensive as you can get. So I don't know if the Furies have been deported yet. I assume not, because the money's
Furies have been deported. It'll be Furies deporting them government over there. Furies
Big John,
Furies are in Kingdom, aren't they? Now they're running show.
I love this stuff, by the way, but the dress code.
The horses bolted now. The lunatics are running the asylum.
Well, you just said they've been taking the tops off. So obviously you got to dress modestly, and men even got to cover the shoulders and the knees. And I don't think Tyson's suit. You got to have sleeves as well. I don't think Tyson's suit would get by. But what also I thought was quite interesting was, we know alcohol's banned and all that kind of stuff, but this is interesting on religion, because we know obviously it's an Islamic state and Islamic country.
Tagging for a pint.
What it says here is the public practice of any form of religion other than Islam is illegal. Now then, we've heard lots of Jesus Christ, haven't we, while we've been over there?
Yeah.
My Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, top of the voices. There's only one God. There's only one man I fear. I fear no man but God. We've heard this about 3 million times. Now that could be construed as, that is not Islamic, is it? That is not Allah. That could be construed as big violation. So we've got dress code, we've got lewd acts, we've got swearing, we've got my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. We've got a lot of violations going on, but I just wonder if you and I went on an holiday to Saudi, lads' holiday, me, you, and a couple of lads. Yeah, get Big Max over there, get Scott Brunt over there, and we're all in Saudi Arabia, in Saudi, wherever. Scott's got his tank top on. I've got my top off. You're walking around grabbing your dick, and we're all swearing and carrying on.
Yeah.
I wonder what happened.
We'll be locked up if we were with Scott Brunt straight away.
Well, we might be locked
Interpol, wouldn't he? He'd be wanted anyway.
All right, scratch Scott. Scott's out.
Yeah, if it were me, you and Max, we'd be locked up.
We'd be locked up, and we'd be doing 10 hard years, which wouldn't be good. And if I was shouting out the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, I'd be flogged in the market square, wouldn't I? But I'm being tongue in cheek, but there's a law for the rich, and it's just, what's happened? The lunatics have taken over the asylum, haven't they? And the asylum being boxing now. It's
what I want to know, Julian, is when they get back to Blighty, how's John Fury going to cope without his butler and being chauffeured around in that black Rolls Royce or whatever? So go and get him back in a black cab in UK, mate. How's he going to cope with that?
It's a bit of a departure, is it, from, like I say, 7-star treatment over in Saudi to back in your carriage, making your own stew and catching rabbit and stuff like that, and wild boar, isn't it? It's a bit of a departure.
Wild boar.
Or whatever he does, but it is incredibly entertaining. I'm smiling.
did you see the Tyson where the guy apologised, the top rank presenter apologised for the swearing, and Tyson grabbed the mic off him, said he don't give an F, and if anybody don't like it, F off. It all were a bit eerie, wasn't it? And do you know why that were? Do you know Conor McGregor? He did the
Yeah,
same thing, didn't he? Do you remember, don't you? When he fought
can't do it.
Mayweather, he did the same thing, and everybody were pissed up at Vegas, and they all laughed, didn't they?
Yeah.
And cheered it, but he didn't get the same response there, did they?
They don't think it's funny over there, do they?
No.
Absolutely not. And by the way, I'm not criticizing the Saudi law. I think some of the laws and some of the behavior codes that they've got, absolutely. And
Be able to
there,
swear
there,
wherever.
there are others. There are others what are highly questionable. But as we've said before, we don't live in a country that's perfect, so I'm not going to criticize other countries and other cultures. But I'm just going to say, when in Rome, so the Furies are getting away with a lot that they wouldn't get away with, that you wouldn't get away with, and neither would I.
No. Hey, listen, what about David A when he had a problem over there with that Villa he bought, or some check or something? When he went back over there, they held him, didn't they? Do you remember when they had to bail him?
Yeah, that they don't mess
Adam Book
about.
got him out, didn't he?
They do not mess about. Well, they didn't mess about.
Locked David A up straight away.
They're not bothered. So listen, what we will say is this:
And Antonio Tarver.
it's fight day tomorrow, but this ain't over yet, is it? Anything can happen with these guys. Anything can and will happen. The only reason I think nothing's going to happen and it's going to be just a big Beano. The whole weekend's a big Beano. So, for example, what I saw pop up on my phone as I was waiting for you to come through was there's some big dinner gala, which looked amazing. It looked absolutely. I'm going to watch a little bit of that when I finish this one because there's boxing royalty there.
Oh, Larry Holmes and lot, isn't there?
Oh, the celebrities over there. It's unbelievable. So it must be.
Have you heard Joe that's been thrown about, Julian, for him to get him out there? Lennox got 250. Well, they reckon it was the same all across board, don't they?
Yeah, I've seen Manny
them
Pacquiao
all
there.
got handsomely paid, didn't they?
Yeah, listen, great. It's a wonderful
Frank
thing.
Bruno fucking dipped his bread, hasn't he?
I don't know I haven't seen who else is there. I saw Leonard Pacquiao.
Hatton.
I saw Ricky Hatton there, that's right. And I thought, look, I mean, we can criticize, but that looks amazing. What is all but the one thing that's telling me, and I said this yesterday when we spoke, what's telling me this is just one big party. When I say one big party, this is an exhibition fight. This is an exhibition fight. Is the good humor and the good nature of everybody. Now, Tyson Fury is at that boxing gala. Now, if there was any danger of this fight being a real competitive fight and being and Ngannou having this puncher's chance, he wouldn't be out, schmoozing now with the rich and famous. They'd be like in the zone, focused. So it is what it is. It's a prelude for the Usyk unification. Absolutely fine. Yeah. But I think both men have had their instructions tomorrow night. That's my opinion, by the way, before anybody jumps on me. I think both men have had a talking to. There's a kind of agreement. And anybody who thinks that doesn't happen in boxing doesn't know anything, because it certainly can. And what can happen is you can have what's called a carry. When you have one guy, this one, where you have one guy who's way superior to the other guy. It's a case of, it happens in, we've all done this in sparring when I've sparred with pros, some really good pros, and our young amateur coming through. And basically the deal is this: I'll move around with you, I'll touch you up a little bit, but if you take liberties, I'll crack you. And that's kind of a thing that exists in all boxing gyms when you're fighting someone who's 20 levels above. Now, I think that's going to be the agreement tomorrow night. Ngannou will throw a few swings, but I think it'll be a case of Fury I'll let you go a few rounds. Don't get naughty. Don't take too many liberties. If you start giving it the clinches and squeezing my arm and holding and getting a little bit dirty, I'll dig you and I'll end it. And I think I keep changing my mind. I think Fury could end it any times he wants. but I think it's more likely Ngannou, after about 4 rounds, just won't be able to hold his arms up and they'll pull him out.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's a spar, buddy. I think it's an absolute spar. And if Fury chins him in 1 round and it's a savage, brutal KO, then I'm wrong. I'm happy to be wrong. But I think it's a spar because there's too much backslapping and too many niceties. Because have you noticed, we've got all this pushing and shoving, but the boxers are laughing. The boxers are smiling. And I think it's a bit like the Chisora Fury fight. I mean, the last Chisora Fury fight, Tyson cracked him, but he never really put it on him, did he, early on? He just played with Chisora. I think
Is that
you're gonna.
advanced? He's like a computer now, isn't he, Tyson, in that ring? Isn't he? Come on.
Well, I was watching
He's
Tyson on the
Godzilla.
pads.
Listen, he's like Godzilla, isn't he? Come on. He's
Yeah,
unbeatable, isn't he?
I was watching him on the pads, and he does such unorthodox moves, but he's very precise with his punching. You know, he knows where he is at any point during a round in a ring, and he's just got such good awareness, and he doesn't switch off. He's focused, he's laser focused, and it's unusual you get a guy who can not only fight going forward and fight on the spot and fight going backwards, but he can do it from both stances. And whatever we say about Tyson, for someone who's such a huge guy, generally huge guys are very ungainly and poorly coordinated.
And he is at times, isn't
he? He can be at times. His legs can look a bit like a giraffe falling around at times, but when he's smooth and when he's flowing and when he gets a little bit of bounce to his
Can't
work.
get near him, can they?
Tyson's a which is why I think he beats Usyk. I really do, because
it's like the Riddick Bowe when he's in full motion, isn't he?
Yeah, when Riddick Bowe was in full motion, it was absolutely amazing. And I don't know who can beat Tyson Fury, but
like an Holyfield when he's unloading and he just goes for it, and he's just.
Well, there's nothing better, is there? Which is the frustration with Tyson Fury, because we want to see him fight.
The frustration is that he's not active, and
I want to see him fight.
Doing up for him, aren't they? Come on.
I want to see him every 4 months. I wanted to see him knock Joe Joyce out.
I want to see him 4 times a year and go through them like a dose of salt. A lot of them.
I don't want to sit here, and you don't want to sit here. No matter what people think, we don't want to sit here going, who's his best 5 wins, and he's done this and he hasn't done that, and he's only fought 4 world. We don't want to do that. I'd love to sit here in 3 years' time and say, oh, well, he ironed out AJ in 2 rounds.
And he did. Usyk.
He beat Frank Sanchez. Oh, he played with Frank Sanchez. And, that
Jared Anderson.
They put him in too early. He's massacred Jared Anderson and say, exclamation mark, Tyson Fury, dominant heavyweight.
And he retired doing Moses Atome.
I'd love to see him just dominate, but it's so frustrating. But as we've said previously, when you're getting 25, 30, 50 million a fight, who wants to get out of bed every single morning? But I don't know why they don't keep him active, because Tyson says himself he trains all the time. So Tyson wouldn't even need to be 100% for probably anyone other than the top 5 or 6 heavyweights. And if anybody thinks that's nonsense, fighters don't peak at 100% every time they fight. It's just a nonsense. They don't. Sometimes, fighters I've had would be having just tick over jobs, 4-rounders. You get a phone call, you say, well, he's not quite ready. He's only been in the gym a couple of weeks, but you think, we'll take it because it's a safe fight. And he should better beat this guy with 70% of his best. And I'd love to see Tyson Fury consistently active and battering everybody. But Tyson, the one thing we know about Tyson Fury, he does what he wants, not what you want, and not what I want.
Tyson's going to do what he wants to do because he's got the media in the palm of his hands now, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I don't know if they're just weak and they're lame, and they haven't got balls, or if they're just thinking, you know what, this is elevating my profile, it's paying my mortgage. Who cares? Because we've seen what happens when you speak out against the Furies, haven't we?
Well, they've got that one.
And as you've said, what about Frank Warren? What's the relationship going to be like with Frank now?
Well, he's turned around and said Frank shouldn't be doing interviews on TalkSport, and so he
didn't look happy, did he? Tyson jokes, but we saw it in the Netflix documentary, and we've seen it consistently through Tyson's career. There's something about his eyes when he says something when he's deadly serious, when he's not joking. And when he said that about Frank Warren should be even on TalkSport. There was something about his eyes what said, I'm actually really pissed off about that. I'm really pissed off, and I'm not going to forget about that. I'm going to make my feelings clear. And these are the things that cause the big cracks in relationships, aren't they?
Well, if Frank don't go on TalkSport again, Tyson's tail's wagging dog, isn't it?
Well, it's an interesting outcome, isn't it? Because we always had managers and promoters who advise boxers who to talk to and what to say, and they give them PR coaching. Like you said, we've got a fighter who's basically saying to his promoter, shut your mouth, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, and don't talk to him. And it's a really unusual situation. But if you're Frank Warren and you've got kids, grandkids, and you want the Queensberry empire to continue to grow when you're retired, you just nod and go along with it, don't you?
Yeah, or if Frank starts doing interviews on TalkSport, Frank's putting his foot down, isn't he? So we'll see if Frank's got any balls now, won't we? Pop,
Yeah,
pop, bang.
I'd like to think he had, but as you said,
He's not going to rock the boat, is he? Brick top. He'll get something going so he can say, do you know what, Simon Jordan, get gone, get out of Dodge.
There's too much money involved. There's just too much money involved. I mean, I've told you before when you've asked me about the Jonas Terry Harper, would you give the rematch? I'm kind of I wouldn't survive in business on my own because I can be quite spiteful in some ways and I don't forget things. So if I were TalkSport and we'd been banned from that event, I wouldn't cover it. I wouldn't talk about it. I think that's the problem that they've got is they're still talking about it, they're still putting things out there and they're making this big thing about being banned. And I'd be like, all right, you don't want to invite me there. I'm not going to cover it. And to be fair to Tyson, because we always try and be consistent with our arguments, don't we?
Mm.
All Simon Jordan has done is absolutely rubbish that fight. He's rubbished it non-stop. I'm not suggesting he's wrong, by the way, but he's absolutely ripped into that fight and he's been consistent doing it at Catterall as well. So I can see, I'm trying to look from both sides. I can see where Fury's coming from in terms of, well, if it's such a mismatch and such a horrendous fight, why are you coming over? Why are you covering it? Don't give it airtime. And so I can see both arguments, but I don't like the idea that if you don't like someone's opinion, you have to shut them down and you have to ban them. I think I say it's a dangerous precedent. It's not new, is it? But this is the mainstream media, and I don't like the idea of shutting them out.
Yeah, it's. I thought it was a bit harsh. Obviously, you saw the Gad on IFL where you were asked about it and he walked off, didn't
he? Yeah, the Gad is absolutely gutted, and I don't think that's acting. I think he looks shell shocked, and all he's done is champion these guys, hasn't he? Since when Tyson came back, and it was absolutely huge, and people were saying, "Oh, he'll never step foot in a ring again." Gareth A. Davis gave them time, gave them publicity. I mean, obviously, former heavyweight champion of the world, he didn't need that much publicity. He's a huge name, even when it wasn't boxing. But Gareth A. Davis has been very, very loyal, too loyal to the fact he's been criticised massively by us and by everybody else for being, a nut hugger of Tyson Fury, and he's just been blown out, hasn't he? And I think there's something about the rich and famous and certain people that all they're interested in is themselves, and they'll use people to a certain point, and then they're just.
Well, I'm like Jules, so the Gad, do you rip? So that's why I believe in an eye for an eye.
Oh, you reap what you sow, don't you?
Well, he's had his head removed from their arsehole, and it must cost him a few quid up at Claremont at Broomhill.
Yeah,
they're not shy with fucking prices.
He might start to reflect on his journalism now, might he? Because he's a bright guy and he's a good writer. But he might start to reflect and say, "I have been a little bit sickly around these guys," and be objective, Gareth, and be neutral.
Yeah, look at your behaviour, Gareth, while rinsing your mouth out with TC fucking P.
Yeah, as you always say, you always say the same thing, don't you?
What?
These are grown men.
Grown men.
Grown
Behaving
men.
like that.
Grown men
Around other
behaving
grown
like.
men.
Oh,
Well, you've seen how he behaves around grown women, haven't you? Hey?
yeah, there's a time and a place, isn't there? And generally, it's behind the privacy of your own.
You're the one where I realised that you were a peeping Tom. It was the one where, what's she called? That Ellie Broke, where they were going on about her powerful thighs and getting us to tense them up, behind the hoardings. Remember it? I'm not even going to go down there with the Ebony Bridges one where you want to see the tattoo.
Oh, that
About the
was
powerful thighs one.
yeah. The
You can imagine him, can't you? With his head in, we him imagining that he's got his head in between the thighs.
It'd be like one of these guys on Louis Theroux when they did the female bodybuilder documentary, and there's a group of men in there who love female bodybuilders to just literally just choke them with the massive muscular thighs around the head. I mean, listen, each to his own. People can do whatever they bloody want. I don't care.
He's one of them. He's one of them freaks, isn't he?
He'd love to be
He's a
dominated
freak.
by female muscle, wouldn't he? The guy. Let's just call it out. You can imagine it, can't you? Just yeah, I felt for him, but I won't. It won't keep me awake tonight.
He won't what?
It won't keep me awake tonight. He's been blown out, hasn't he? I mean, he's been dumped. He's
He's
been
hanging
given.
up a dear life with his Daily Telegraph pass.
Yeah, he's like saying, "I'm here covering for the Guardian," and it's like,
Oh, he's at the Guardian. I thought it was a Telegraph.
I don't know. Is it? It's a broadsheet that nobody reads because no one reads newspapers now. Bless him.
Oh, the Guardian. What will we do without the Guardian?
He's hilarious. Have you seen him lately? He's looking in shape, isn't he?
Yeah, he's roided out his head.
He's got some. He's got. Listen,
Guns, hasn't he? The guy's got guns.
and I'm sure there's drug testing tomorrow night, by the way. But
The guy won't be anywhere
Ngannou,
near that, man. If he pops a pin into a Ben
Ngannou looked
Johnson.
huge. Did you see Ngannou? It looked huge.
Oh, Ngannou.
It looked like He-Man. Remember He-Man, the cartoon?
Yeah, he did,
like,
didn't he? Yeah.
yeah, he was like one of those gladiators, one of those American
He
gladiators.
looked like E-Man with funky dreads, didn't he?
I'm not suggesting, by the way, Ngannou takes growth hormone, but he looked bigger than I've seen him before. Let's put it that way. He looked absolutely massive on the scales.
But whilst Tyson starts unloading on him, and his arsehole will fall out.
His head up would just pop, 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 pop a bit. Honestly, Tyson's going to be pulling some of those shots.
Tyson will be looking. You know what? I'm not being funny, right? In Tyson's makeup, let me tell you this. Tyson's going to dust him inside 1 minute.
He might do because he's a hell of a
mate, inside 1 minute.
Tyson's a vicious guy when he gets that look in his eye, but I just think it's one big.
He's Godzilla, man. He's going to run over him in a minute. They're not going to want to mess about. To them, it's like wasted time, road again.
Right. Well, we've got 1 minute 30. So, what's your final prediction then, Russell?
Fury 1 round inside a minute.
I'm going for Fury by retirement, end of the 5th.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's they'll give us a few rounds. What about Wardley? And we've got
David Adelaide knockout.
Oh, you going for Adelaide?
Mm.
I'm going for Wardley. I'm going for Wardley in anywhere between 5 and 8. I think it'll be a cracking fight, by the way.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, really, really good fight. I think Wardley. I think he'll get hurt. I think Adelaide could put it on him. It might be a bit of a. It could be a domestic Ron Lyle, George Foreman, mate. I think Wardley will put it on him.
Dennis will be waxing lyrical. Pop, pop, bang.
There you go, mate.
Okay. All the best.
Good to talk to you, buddy.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks for watching, buddy. See you later.
All right. Hope you enjoyed that. Focus Friday night, isn't it, Rocky? Pop, pop, bang. Thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. Don't forget to get behind the Justice for Gary Sykes video. I hope you all watched it. It's on the channel. I put it out earlier today. Justice for Gary Sykes. All right. Robert Smith. I know you're listening. Your weapon. Do the right thing. Pop, pop, bang.